On Newswatch, flood warnings remain in effect along the Ohio River as the National Weather Service now warns a freeze could be on the way. Lead forecaster Emily Dietz joins us with the latest.
Plus, communities in Ohio and across the country are preparing for Monday's solar eclipse.
And a rare earthquake rocks the Big Apple. Newswatch starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Allison Patton.
And I'm Alex Imwali. Welcome to Newswatch. The chief of the Colton Fire Department pleads guilty to one count of mail fraud for using a department credit card for personal expenses. Johnny Baker used more than $200,000 in department funds. Baker worked for the department for 16 years before becoming chief in 2023. He used the card for personal expenses between 2020 and 2023. As part of his plea, Baker has agreed to pay just over $225,000 in restitution.
Ohio pharmacies are changing this spring with new rules to prevent understaffing. Starting May 1st, the new rules will dictate minimum staffing standards, mandatory breaks, and require prescriptions to be filled within 5 days. This is all to prevent pharmacists from burning out and creating a shortage. CVS is paying a $1.5 million fine to resolve 27 understaffing and delay issues to comply with the new rules. Where is the limit when it comes to banning books? This was the question at this year's Public Library Association conference. Today, 7,500 library professionals gathered in the Greater Columbus Convention Center and discussed the rising rates of book challenges. Panelists at the event said the rising numbers are a result of what they call policy attacks by lawmakers, targeting LGBTQ+ material. Public libraries saw a 92% increase in attempts to remove books from shelves in 2023. Additionally, a total of 4,240 different books were targeted in libraries and schools over the course of the year.
The Bailey's Trail System officially opens for the season today, but fears are growing over the trail's future. The Outdoor Recreation Council of Appalachia, the group building the trails, is facing a funding issue after Athens County bowed out of making its annual payment. County commissioners say they can't afford to continue footing the bill in face of other budgetary needs. The trails are located in Chansey, and without the county's funding, Mayor Amy Renner says the worries of revitalization in the community will stall. A flood warning remains in effect for communities along the Ohio River throughout this weekend.
The National Weather Service warns the river's high water level will cause backwater flooding of rivers, streams, and creeks from away from the Ohio River. Here is a look at one of Ohio's tributaries, the Hocking River. The river crested yesterday at 18 feet and has since lowered to 15 feet. The Ohio River is expected to crest at 40 feet tomorrow and will then start to slowly go down over the weekend. This high water is from the significant rainfall we have had all week. Here with more of these warnings is lead forecaster Emily Dietz.
Yeah, well, things have been crazy this week, as I'm sure you guys saw all that rain. I was at the Hocking River on Tuesday, and then I was back again there on Thursday, and it was a crazy difference. But on top of that, we have a freeze warning issued as well. So taking a look at our map right now, we're looking at all these warnings and watches issued for the state of Ohio. We still see those flood warnings issued through Chillicothe, through Marietta especially, and it's going to be really hard for a lot of these flood warnings to go away for a while because the soil is so saturated from all of that rain that a lot of this water is going to take a while before it begins to drain. But on top of that, once again, we're still seeing this freeze warning as well for the western part of the state. We're expecting these conditions to spread through the eastern part of the state as well. So temperatures are going to be dropping. We started out in the 70s and now things are down in the 40s. Taking a look, Lancaster at 43, Zanesville 41, Newark 49, so a little bit warmer, but for the most part, we're in the 40s and we're going to be seeing a drop over the next couple of hours. And right now here in Athens, it's about 43 degrees and we're seeing a mixed precipitation going on. Earlier today, we had a little bit of a sprinkle of rain, then we switched to a little bit of snow, and now we're back at just a wintry precipitation mix. We're not expecting anything severe out of it, just some miscellaneous clouds left over from the system that deposited all of this rain. Now tonight we're expecting an overnight low of 30 degrees with those partly cloudy skies, so that rain will be wrapping up. Don't expect to need your umbrella really at all, but just maybe a light jacket, maybe even a heavier jacket if you're planning on going out, especially later out tonight. But things are going to be wrapping up, and I'm really excited to see these temperatures go away. But a quick look at what's coming up on Monday. We're all excited for this eclipse. We're going to see actually some light rain showers, early Monday morning, and that might produce some clouds for us in the afternoon. So we're going to be seeing some partly cloudy skies, and it'll be a bit warmer. We're going to see temperatures in the mid 60s as well, so it'll at least be a little bit nicer outside, even if it's just to go outside and enjoy some cloudy weather. And by the end of the day, we're going to be looking at partly cloudy skies, and things will still be cooling overnight. So be sure to stay tuned for my full forecast. We're really going to dive in to what this eclipse weather is going to look like and just what kind of weather we're expecting for this weekend, especially after the monster of weather that we've had that we call Ohio weather this past week, from the 70s, from all the rain down to the 40s.
All right, thanks, Emily. The Ohio Emergency Operations Center is planning to support local communities before, during, and after Monday's solar eclipse, which could draw thousands of visitors to Ohio. Beginning Sunday, staff members from Ohio's various agencies plan to assemble at the Emergency Operations Center in Columbus to organize resources for local partners. This follows an executive order from Ohio Governor Mike DeWine last month that directed all state departments and agencies to be prepared to provide support statewide. Governor DeWine says traffic will be one of the biggest concerns on the day.
Another concern is the use of correct eye protection from the sun. Karen Kaifa is in Washington with warnings of the solar event, even for Americans outside of its path.
A total solar eclipse, the passage of the moon between the Earth and sun blocking the sun's face, is a major event.
The normal rhythms of Earth are disrupted.
And millions of Americans want to catch a glimpse on Monday. The American Academy of Ophthalmology says even for just a few seconds, sunglasses are not enough.
There's really only one way to safely look at the sun, whether it's during the eclipse or not, and that's through the use of special purpose solar filters.
Look for certified solar eclipse glasses and solar viewers with filters that meet an international standard for safety. Clinical spokesperson Dr. Amy Vidata says without those filters, the dangers are real.
These rays can damage the light-sensitive rods and cones, essentially causing a burn in the retina. So this burn can cause temporary or permanent vision loss.
And flight itineraries across the country could be impacted Monday. The Federal Aviation Administration cautions of possible delays as aircraft and drones try to witness what's happening in the skies. There are potential roadway hazards too.
Please don't just stop on the side of the road. It's really important to make sure that we stay focused on everyone around us. People are probably going to be stopping, so be careful.
An analysis published in the journal JAMA Internal Medicine found a 31% increase in traffic risks, on par with holidays like Thanksgiving, around the time of the 2017 eclipse, largely due to increased volume on the roadways. In Washington, I'm Karen Kaifa.
For a list of gathering events happening here in Ohio for the eclipse, go to tourismohio.gov. Coming up, fallout over how to rebuild after the bridge collapse in Baltimore.
And new jobs report shows new promising signs for the economy.
Sun, rain, and snow, we've had it all this week. So what will this weekend bring? Stay tuned to Newswatch to find out.
Some say William F. Buckley created the modern conservative movement.
America had better strike out on a different course.
The most visible face of the conservative movement.
He became a huge best-selling author and host of his own TV show.
Foreign line.
Sometimes insufferable, always incomparable.
Thank you, the Overseas Press Club. I sometimes wish all the press were overseas.
Don't miss the incomparable Mr. Buckley.
Isn't that exciting?
On American Masters.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Times are changing.
Every nut and bolt, you know its breaking point, but the humans have not been quantified.
I'm here to serve, I'm here to learn, I'm here to grow, and so whatever happens, just remember that.
I was diagnosed with Parkinson's at 39.
You never know what's going to happen if you don't give up.
Holding it together is more exhausting than the disease itself.
You might live.
You have to hunt. If you don't do subsistence activities, you die. It connects us to our past.
Something was killing people.
This new disease came along.
Battling a new pathogen is like a chess game. You're using public health and social measures to shape the way the board will unfold.
Collecting data and analyzing it has probably saved as many lives as the vaccines and the antibiotics.
The main problem facing our domestic public health infrastructure is that it's badly outdated.
When you ignore public health, a lot of people are going to die.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Sexual assault and domestic violence survivors are taking back the night by sharing their stories with the Athens community.
Newswatch reporter Haley Richardson was there and joins us live in studio with more from the event.
Allison and Alex, Take Back the Night is an annual event bringing awareness to the realities behind interpersonal and relationship violence. Stories, singing, and survivors filled Baker Ballroom Thursday night. The movement started in the 70s and gives survivors a place to speak out in the hope of inspiring others to do the same.
It normalizes the feelings that we have. It also, when we know that somebody else has gone through something, that you can connect to.
Anne Brandon, Assistant Director for Prevention and Education at Ohio University, says telling these stories is the first step.
I think for survivors who maybe haven't told their story or who haven't gone to counseling could hear someone's story and be like, maybe they take that next step.
For survivors, nonprofits like Laura's Light, an organization dedicated to supporting survivors of child abuse, domestic violence, and sexual assault, provide resources and aid to those in need. Founder Sam Ditka says the organization sheds light in the darkest of times.
It's taking back that night and it's putting the light back out there.
It's not just telling stories, though. Preventative measures and resources for survivors can make all the difference.
The reality is that when we talk about survivorhood, everyone talks about the victim's story, but we rarely talk about who is harming and how we actually stop that.
Making life safer?
The world was made to be free in.
One night at a time. Co-sponsor of the event, My Sister's Place, is one resource survivors or allies can use for help. For immediate aid, call the hotline number at 1-800-443-4302. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Haley Richardson, live in studio.
Thanks so much for your hard work, Haley. Students and Athens community members are celebrating their cultures this week as part of Ohio University's International Week. The week's events kicked off on Monday and wrap up tomorrow with the International Street Fair. The fair starts off at 10:30 a.m. across from the Class Gateway on the corner of East Union and South College Street. The fair will go until 5 p.m. with international cuisine, arts, and performances. Now Emily is back with me. Will this weekend be a nice one for the International Street Fair? What are we going to see weather-wise?
Well, it'll be a little on the cooler side of things, but it'll actually be pretty nice outside. I'm actually looking forward to it. Last year, I remember my mom and I were up there. Kind of forgot what was going on that weekend, but we popped up there and we're like, oh, it was so great. It was a lot of fun. I'm planning on going back there tomorrow. I don't know about you.
I don't know. I might try to stop by. I didn't know about it until today.
Sure. Well, if you are planning on going back, you might just need a quick light jacket. And taking a look at what's going on right now, we're looking about 43 outside with some precipitation going on. But luckily for us, this precipitation is going to wrap up here in the next couple of hours and will leave us with a little bit of cloudy skies for the rest of the evening. But things will definitely be cooling. You can see we're already in the 40s, and we actually do have a freeze warning issued for the western part of the state, and we're expecting these conditions to extend into the eastern part of the state alongside these flood warnings as well. So things are definitely going to be cooling down, and since the ground is so saturated, that's why we're seeing these freeze warnings, and we're going to be in the mid to lower 30s overnight. Now, what happened to cause this is we had a large low pressure system sitting over top of the Great Lakes area that really pulled a lot of this cold polar air down, and now that cold front has pushed past us, but in the meantime we've got a high pressure system beginning to develop that's creating this sort of large trough, pulling again a lot of that polar air down here that's really cooling us off and going to keep us cool these next couple of days, especially in the evening time. So even though we're going to see sun in the afternoon, maybe even into the 50s, things overnight are still going to be pretty chilly. But while we're looking at that, we're also going to look at what's developing over to the west. We're starting to see a low pressure system with a warm front, which I'm very excited about, begin to develop, but this could be a little detrimental to our plans on Monday to watch that eclipse, and I'll talk about that here in just a second. But in the meantime, this is a really nice look at our temperature. You can really see that nice cold belt really coming down here, and again, here's that warm front extending across the Great Plains area that's going to be extending up towards Ohio as we continue on through the week, especially into next week. But in the meantime, tonight, things are going to be pretty chilly. You're going to want to grab your jacket. We're expecting a low of 30 degrees and partly cloudy skies, so that'll help keep some of that insulation in, but for the most part, things are still going to be pretty cool outside, so definitely want to grab a blanket as you're going to bed tonight. But again, for that street festival tomorrow, I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm really excited to see this radar and see how these little precipitation bubbles are really moving away from us. We get a little bit of a break during the evening time, but then tomorrow we'll just see some clouds start to roll in. But for the most part, we're looking at a nice day tomorrow. We're going to see partly sunny skies, again, some clouds coming in from the north, but for the most part, we're not really expecting any precipitation. We'll have a high of 51 outside as well. So you're going to need a light jacket to head outside. Not expecting too much wind either, a nice breeze. So overall, a really nice start to our weekend, especially after the crazy week that we have had with the weather. Now tomorrow, we're also going to see that high pressure begin to move down towards us, and we're really going to start to look at the development of this low pressure system out near the Rocky Mountains. And we really see this nice warm front that's going to be pulling up a lot of moisture from the south, as well as a lot of that warm air. And we actually do have a cold front attached behind it, and that's really going to extend to a lot of this precipitation we're beginning to see in the Great Plains area, especially on Sunday. And that's going to keep pushing towards the east, unfortunately, as we move into that eclipse area. So Sunday will look like a really nice day. We've got a nice high pressure bubble sitting over us. We're expecting clear skies. Things will warm up a little bit since we'll get a lot of that daytime heating. But again, overnight we'll still have a little bit of cooling during the day. But as we move into Sunday, again, there's that high pressure system really sitting in there. And then over the next 7 days, we're expecting things to really warm up from that warm front. On Monday, we're looking at a 20% chance of showers possible, and that's mainly in the morning time. And hopefully those clouds will move out of the way so that we can all watch and enjoy this eclipse. But next week, even though it's a little rainy, hopefully we won't see as much rain as we saw this past week. It'll at least be in the 70s and no chance of snow. So that's something I'm really looking forward to next week.
Thanks, Emily. While we woke up to a calm, cool morning here in Athens, those on the East Coast started with a shakier morning. Now, a mild earthquake striking New Jersey could also be felt in New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C., and they are still dealing with the aftershocks. Preliminary reports indicate it was a 4.8 magnitude earthquake. The epicenter was just northeast of Lebanon, New Jersey, about 50 miles west of New York City. In Newark, 3 homes were evacuated due to damage. Officials in New York City are reassuring the city's safety following the unexpected event.
Earthquakes don't happen every day in New York, so this can be extremely traumatic. The number of texts, calls, and inquiries that people sent out to not only our administration, but to family members checking on them.
The New York Police Department said no injuries or damage have been reported, but the earthquake impacted air travel. The Federal Aviation Administration said flights at the New York Kennedy, Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Newark airports were put on hold while runways were inspected for possible damage.
President Joe Biden is in Baltimore for a first-hand look at the collapsed Francis Scott Key Bridge. The president's previous vow to use federal funds to fully pay bridge reconstruction is sparking growing partisan backlash. Laura Aguirre brings us more.
It's my intention that federal government will pay for the entire cost of reconstructing that bridge.
A presidential commitment that's touched off growing partisan backlash over who should foot the bill to rebuild Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge, a vital American seaport in the global supply chain. The president is in Baltimore Friday, getting an aerial first-hand look at the destruction and enormous salvage efforts in motion. He said this in the hours after the deadly collision took place.
I've directed my team to move heaven and earth to reopen the port and rebuild the bridge as soon as humanly possible.
The full price tag of such a mammoth recovery and rebuilding operation is still not fully known. A team of government agencies is working to assess that daunting total. The Department of Transportation has already released $60 million to Maryland from an emergency relief fund. But the Transportation Secretary also had this to say last week.
To be clear, if any private party is responsible for and accountable for this, then they will be held accountable.
a statement some GOP lawmakers are seizing on. In a post on X Friday, the House Freedom Caucus demanded that the Biden administration seek maximum liability from any foreign shipping companies responsible up front before any more supplemental federal funds are given. Wherever the funding comes from, many on Capitol Hill do agree the port must open as soon as possible.
It is a critical economic hub. We've got to get this up and running.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
An expert at the Bipartisan Policy Center says it may not necessarily be faster to construct a bridge of this magnitude 46 years later. And the key will be if or when the president declares a federal emergency.
A new jobs report shows the U.S. economy added 303,000 jobs last month, far surpassing expectations. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, unemployment fell to 3.8%. The U.S. labor market has remained resilient for months amid elevated interest rates and high inflation. In fact, it's been 39 consecutive months of added jobs. The unemployment rate has also been below 4% for 26 months in a row. That's the longest streak since the late 1960s. With a new jobs report showing another round of strong growth, all eyes now turn to the Federal Reserve and if they will cut interest rates. Cuts usually occur around June or July, but many investors seem to be nervous that the Fed may not cut rates this year. Minneapolis Federal Reserve Bank President Neil Kashkari suggests that with the positive look of the economy, the Fed may just keep the rates the same. Fed Chair Jerome Powell says the most of the committee's members are more optimistic, but he's not promising a rate cut this year.
Economy evolves broadly as we expect. Most FOMC participants see it as likely to be appropriate to begin lowering the policy rate at some point this year.
Cooling inflation is encountering some bumps, like oil prices hitting a 5-month high yesterday, making the Fed's decision more difficult for economists to predict. Next, ways to help manage your stress. And for the latest from Newswatch, follow us on Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and YouTube.
I was driving down the road and I had a flashback.
I thought I was there. I thought we were under attack.
You know, the very next day while I was on terminal leave, that's when the nightmares started.
The minute I met you, I knew my life would be different. You just had that look of reassurance, determination, and strength. Like you were saying, I got this, follow me, let me be a rock, and you will be okay.
Thursday at 10 on WOUB.
I'm trying not to cry this whole time.
On Finding Your Roots.
In this episode, we're going to do something we've never done before.
We asked, is there a mystery in your family history?
I'm speechless.
We invited 3 viewers to the show.
You always know that they're there, but to name them?
To uncover an ancestor's deepest secret.
These are pieces that I've been looking for a very long time.
Tuesday at 8 on WOUB.
Subtle rises in sea level.
The demise of coral reefs.
Devastating changes take place.
These events are climate change.
It's really a crossroads for humanity.
This is serious.
To heal the earth, we have to think of new ways.
Let's figure it out.
It's science, it's engineering, and it's conservation.
A new species.
Amazing.
The greatest opportunities are in chaos.
It is a breakthrough.
We're at a period of remaking the world.
Addressing global crisis.
We can change the earth.
We're doing this for the future. If we don't, what then?
While many of us don't need a reminder to be aware of our stress, April is National Stress Awareness Month, and it's a good time to focus on how to manage it. Mandy Gaither has some healthy ways to cope.
We all feel it, from our daily commute to juggling work.
Can you just eat that pancake that you have right now?
No. family, and schedules. Stress is all around us, and while you can't control it, you can take charge of how you cope.
How you think about stress can make or break the situation. If you perceive it to be a threat or a challenge, can significantly impact how your body and your mind responds.
Psychologist Susan Alberts with Cleveland Clinic says some of the red flags of increased stress include changes in your eating habits like loss of appetite or emotional eating, as well as changes in sleeping habits, sleeping too much, or not being able to fall asleep. Other symptoms include headaches, stomach issues, and mood changes.
Life is continuously stressful, so investing in some stress management techniques can be a game changer for your physical and mental health.
Albert says we can cope with stress by being active. She says exercise can help calm your mind and body, as can breathing exercises. She says what you eat can help too.
If you are chronically stressed, you can eat vitamin C rich foods to help mitigate some of the wear and tear that your body experiences from stress. Also, magnesium rich foods can be helpful. They help to regulate the stress hormones in your body and promote relaxation.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Still ahead, an Ohio native carrying on his father's NBA legacy.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
On Masterpiece.
The computer system post office spent an arm and a leg on is faulty.
No one else has ever reported any problems.
You're responsible for the loss. I haven't got that money.
I'm not a thief. It must be a bug.
What are we going to do?
Fight. The post office is a national institution.
They destroyed our whole life.
Here we all are, ready to tell our stories.
Mr. Bates versus the post office on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
On Masterpiece.
She just made our dreams come true. We can follow our hearts.
She doesn't decide how I live my life.
Jack Kane, welcome to the program. You look great together.
Okay, there's something I should probably tell you.
I want to know what the truth is, and if there's another side to the story, I want to hear it.
Don't get sucked right back into that Alice dysfunctionality vortex.
She's in love with you, you idiot.
Alice and Jack on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 10 on WOUB.
Finally tonight, the son of Akron native LeBron James is entering this year's NBA draft. Bronny James made the announcement on social media today. The 19-year-old recently finished his freshman season for the University of Southern California Trojans. In July, he suffered a cardiac arrest during basketball practice at USC. His doctors cleared him to return to the court in late November, and he scored his first points for the school in December. Now it's very exciting news that he may go to the NBA. Now his father also famously has one of the best careers in the whole entire sport. So it's interesting to be able to see if he will be able to go and potentially even play with his son. That would be amazing.
Oh, for sure. That'd be a great father-son moment. You know, that'd be really fun to watch. But speaking of everything, if you're looking to get outside and play some sports this weekend, well, we actually have a freeze warning issued for tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow. So tomorrow early morning might not be the best time, especially since we also have these flood warnings issued, especially near Marietta, Chillicothe, near Circleville as well. But Tomorrow afternoon is looking quite nice. Tonight, however, we'll be seeing that low of 30 degrees. So if you're planning on going out, you may need to grab a jacket. We're going to be seeing those partly cloudy skies. But again, tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies, high of 51. Sunday, we're going to be seeing some nice high pressure move through the area. And as we move into next week, we're going to be up in the 70s. And I'm really looking forward to this warm weather. So it'll be nice to get outside and again, play those sports. Hopefully that rain we're looking at holds off, as well as the clouds on Monday for that eclipse.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching. For Emily Dietz, I'm Allison Patton.
And I'm Alex Imwali. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can follow us on social media. Have a great night.